Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the Teenage Engineering OPXY. Terabytes writes in and asks if we can use the OPXY to sequence an external drum sequencer, or an external drum machine. And I don't have a drum machine right now, but I do have the Roland P-6, and I've sampled some drum chops and split it up across the keyboard. So we'll be able to use this as a drop-in replacement, but anything I talk about here will work the same on most external drum machines. So like, it shouldn't be a problem. Anyway, a few things to know. One, the second jack from the bottom here is your I'd say it's like a multi-purpose jack. By default, it's going to be converted, set up to send MIDI. You can convert this into a CV output or audio output jack as well. So definitely gives you some options for doing a lot of different cool things, but you can only do one at a time. Now, that said, I've got this in MIDI mode. I have the TRS jack connected from here to the Roland P6 MIDI in. So we're going MIDI out to MIDI in. This will allow me to sequence things. Now, on the P6, I've got this drum kit chopped across this one sample. I can play the drums totally fine. Just need to address them through the proper MIDI channel. On the P6, to find this out, you just hold Shift and Menu. A channel is the auto channel, and this is the important one that allows you to play drum kits that you have chopped up, or play other content chromatically for whatever you have played here. So I just got on bank E, I've got this drum kit, got it set up. Now on the OPXY, there are two different types of MIDI tracks that you can use. One MIDI track will basically be able to follow the brain and allow you to transpose notes up and down. And I'll show you that in a minute. But the other one is doesn't transpose notes when you use the brain, which is on the aux page. If you go to track 3, this is your MIDI channel track, or it's your MIDI track, and you can only set it to go out to one MIDI device, but this particular track is special in that, as I said, it doesn't get impacted by the brain if you start transposing things up and down. So in the case here, my A channel on the P6 is 15. So if I go dial in channel 15, I can play these notes, and you can see that they're triggering up here. So it's not a big deal to, actually we'll just play. And, whoops, I'm gonna switch to a blank channel over here. I have a pattern that was just playing some stuff on over here. So I'm just going to play, we'll just drop in and sequence. Just a simple beat. So, you can just hold down the record button to just add in notes. I don't need the metronome playing. And it is nice because if you have the velocity sensitivity on these keys, you can at least get some velocity going. Now, let's say I want this note to only play every fourth note. I can hold Shift down and use the step components. And this one at the end allows us to change the trigger, so it's like every fourth trigger. So it's going to skip this one now. And they'll just play it every 4 times. We can, do other fun things to do drum rolls and all that stuff. Just whatever parameters you want to use here, it will apply them. Now, that gets us the ability to sequence and use all the fun things from the OPXY for, as I said, a drum. Let's say we don't want this. I'm going to hold record and stop and just going to wipe out the track. The reason why I'm doing this is let's switch over to just our regular tracks here. We got tracks 1 through 8 that will allow us to usually do drums. We got 2 tracks of drums by default. We got like bass, keys, pads, and things. I'm going to use track 8 here, but you can use any of these 8. And if you hold Shift and 1, you'll see under this menu you get external. A thing to note is if you instead of this, I just switched it over, but if you do Shift and 8, you're not going to find external in here. You might be able to save it and then get like a list of things where you could name them based on the MIDI device that you're using or the types of things you're doing with it. I haven't tried that yet, but actually let's just try it. I because I'm curious. But by default on the OPXY, the only way to get at that external menu is if you hold Shift and 1, it will get you like the full list of everything over here. So if I go external, I am curious. Well, it did just save it, which is interesting. I'll look at that later and maybe do another video on it. But that said, let's say we want to instead, I'm going to go to here. I got this piano playing. If I want to play this and then be able to use the brain to transpose, you have to have a track that's on one of these tracks 1 through 8 for this external. I'm still going to dial it into MIDI channel 15. Let's go. Just play a chord. Not an interesting chord, just C major. We'll make it play that long. So if I now play it, it's playing, got the chord going, and if I go to, as I said, if I go to aux, go to the brain, I can use the brain to sequence and have it play different chords, and it will follow. Whereas if I was on that aux page, if we go to the aux here, it is not, this doesn't get transposed. So basically you just want to know which one you're using, but you can absolutely, as I said, use this functionality to program and do things with an external drum sequencer or synthesizer or anything else. Totally works. Anyway, thank you, Terabytes, for the question. Everybody, thanks for stopping by. Hope this helps you guys out. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good, and peace.